on for the Hill Country Nation Sports Wrap-Up Show. That software trade says something about feeding hummingbirds. Tuesday night, I hope everybody enjoyed their Labor Day weekend, and of course a lot of really solid games that were going on for sure, and upsets and things like that. But also over the weekend, we had some great week officially one of high school football. And Trey, I mean, we were a part of a great game of the week last week with Bandera over Capula, and a great game there as well. But man, just even across the hill country, and you're finding out, man, there were some great games over this last week.
Listen, Hill Country is rocking it through the first two. I know it's week one last week, whatever. It's week two. That was week two last week.
Yeah.
And you have Ingram, who came back from 21 points down to come back and beat Comfort 28-21. Ingram is now 2-0. Kerrville-Tivy is 2-0. Junction 1-1. Harper 2-0. Man, Hill Country is thriving right now in sports, and we have Heritage as well. But before we get started and everything like that, JR, I just want to take a time. My thoughts and prayers are with Coach Keller, who calls the Tivy football games. He's in the hospital right now, praying for Tez. Hope everything gets situated all right, man. We miss you, brother. I hope everything works out great. God with you. God be with you, man. We need you back at the radio station for sure. My thoughts and prayers are with Hill Country Nation's thoughts and prayers are with you.
Yeah, Coach Keller, a big part and the reason why we are here as well. Without Coach Keller, there's no, I mean, Tivy, he is the voice of the Tivy Antlers. And so, Coach Keller, get well, man, before I come over there to the hospital and make some noise. And you have no choice but to get out.
I almost did. I was like, I have 3 hours to spend. I'm just going to go bother him.
Exactly. We should. Bring him some donuts while we're at it, too. All right, man, with that said and everything, I know one guy that will be praying for sure for Coach Keller. This guy right here is known for not only state championships, but just outside, off the field, the things that he does as well for these kids around Fredericksburg and especially over at Heritage. Ranked number 1 in the state right now in TAPS division. And, of course, with just 9 guys, they're making some noise. Let's welcome to the show Coach Tim Shipman of the Heritage Eagles. And, Coach, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to come on the show. You had me on last year. I was hoping you'd call my number again. You guys do an awesome job of covering sports in the Hill Country. Just excited for, as Trey was talking about, all the great success in the Hill Country and all the great competition as well. We're glad to be a part of that and excited to be off to a 2-0 start ourselves.
Yeah, 2-0 start. You had a great game against Castle Hills. Those are one of those schools right there that great competition. Some years they're just so down, and other years you just never know they're going to bring the A game no matter how many players they had. A little struggle there, but you overcome that with some miscues and came out on top. Just talk about that big win over Castle Hills last week.
Well, first off, I mean, Jeremy Wintercheck, their head coach, he and I have known each other for the past 20 years. He's been a great mentor of mine. So to be able to compete against him and his program was a great honor, much less to come out with a win. He has that team and that program playing and rolling the best that I've seen them in years. They a bunch of big guys. They love to pound the ball, which is a lot like us. We just don't quite have the size they have, but I'll tell you what we lack in size, these guys make up for in heart. And I think probably every game like this, it's going to be a 4-quarter dogfight chess match because, honestly, if I'm being real, we're not going to overwhelm anybody. However, for these 9 guys, and out of those, 3 of them are freshmen, one's a sophomore, we're going to fight, we're going to scrap, we're going to claw and give ourselves a shot to win in the 4th quarter. And so I suspect a lot of our games are going to be those tight games. But, Castle Hills runs the ball really well downhill. They're going to eat up clock similar to us. And to just make them earn everything on Friday night. That was our goal. And I thought our guys did a good job of that. At one point, I don't know if I've given you, I don't know if you have the summary there. I don't think I got that over to you, but at one point we're actually up 28-8. And I thought, man, if anybody had asked me how this was going to, get started, I couldn't ask for a better start. We had a hard time on our last drive before half. We probably should have scored, and we didn't. That was on me. And then come out the beginning of the second half, and they marched down and scored. Great job. It was a battle like this. We had them in the corner punching them, and they did a great job, as Coach Wintercheck teams do, of just fighting their way out of the corner. So next thing we know, we get into late in the third quarter, and it's 36-36. And we knew it was going to be a dogfight all night. I will tell you, week 1 against San Marcos Academy, week 2 against Castle Hills, and I suspect will be no different this week against Austin Hill Country up in Leander. These 9 guys, they just don't know quit. They know unity, team, all 9 of them. We talk about pouring out your water. They just pour it all out. They leave it all on the field. It's an amazing thing to watch, and I'm blessed to get to coach them.
Yeah, Coach, you talked a little bit about your freshmen, how they have to step up. I mean, freshmen have got to step up big time, especially in 6-man. Just talk about your freshmen and your one sophomore as well, how they contribute coming from junior high and going straight to varsity on and how they can contribute to your team this year.
Well, it's an absolute necessity, and the hard part is typically you're in a 3A, 4A program. You're in a situation where you're going to have a freshman team, then a JV team, and then maybe by your junior year you're playing some varsity ball. Well, it's a different world in the TAPS 6-man divisions. All of the schools that we're playing and stuff, even at the UIL level, they're dealing with this, right? And so you're looking and asking your freshmen to step up. Our 3 freshmen, they have all done that. There's a learning curve. There's a huge learning curve, but I can tell you their learning curve's going straight up. You try to manage them. You try not to throw them in there in those tough situations. But when you have 9 guys, you don't have a choice. And I can tell you that in various ways, all 3 of our freshmen have stepped up. You've got Quattro Stewart, who he's playing as a rusher and trying to help contain spread backs. And then on offense, he's kind of filling in, giving Bridger and Tress a break here and there, trying to move the offense from the running back spot and as a receiver. You take a kid like this and where these first 2 games, he's hardly come off the field. What an impressive thing for a freshman. And I couldn't ask him to better place and contributing than he is right now. He took care of his business in the summer. He came in shape. We've got another freshman, Toby Prescott. He's on an offensive line, big kid. He's a long-legged giraffe that's learning to walk and run. Love him to pieces. He's a great kid. And I mean, we ask him to do a couple of things. That's block down and go block the linebacker. If you're not blocking down first level, go to second level. And keeping things simple for him. And I will tell you, he's as loyal, hardworking as you could ask for, and has done a good job for us because that's something we like to do. We like to line up tight, pound the ball at you, and work clock. And you definitely got to do that when you only got 9 guys. Yeah. And you take Reese Baker, and he's out here at corner. Well, in 6-man, you get stuck on an island in a real big hurry, and their guys are taking shots down the field. Here's a freshman scrambling, scrapping, clawing, doing a great job, and he's learning. They're all drinking from a fire hydrant. Sophomore Drake McKinney has come over. He has just done a great job. His learning curve's going up. He wasn't with us last year. He was with us in the junior high program. Came back this year, and he's mentally, he's like a freshman right now, maybe a step above, but he's not quite to a sophomore yet in terms of his knowledge of our system. But these guys are a blessing to coach. They're yes sir, no sir, great work ethic. They're there. They're coming in when they need to for film. They're They're just taking care of all of their business. And for freshmen, sophomores, I don't know any coach that could ask for anything better. They're humble. They're listening to the older guys. And if it, honestly, it's taken all 9 of us to find ways to win these first 2 games. Same thing's going to happen Friday night.
Talk about Brigger Harden and Tress Johns. I mean, those guys, they've been with you for a few years now, a couple of years or so, and you're leaders and, kind of doing the workload. But how important is it for those guys? Because, I mean, like you said, youngsters and the youngins, they got to bring them up and stuff like that to just kind of keep them on track, especially like you said, you had a nice little lead against Castle Hills and all of a sudden 36-36. But how important was it for those guys, not only to show you on the field, but to be vocal for those youngins?
Well, I've got 2 seniors, Tress Johns, Tristan Roberts. Both those guys are captains. Obviously, Tress Johns is a beast, but what Tristan Roberts lacks in physicality, he makes up for in intelligence, smart, solid, calm, cool, collected leadership. And then you go down and you've got my juniors, Bridger Harden, and you've got Caleb Williams, both of them captains as well. And they bring, number one, they're humble as well. I mean, if you take Tress and Bridger and you look at their athleticism, and everybody knows that in the camp, outside the camp, these 2 guys are beasts. They really are. I mean, they will smooth run over you. But they are all about their team. They are willing to help the younger guys come along. They're willing, Tristan, Caleb, Bridger, Tress, all of them are interested in finding ways to win. And they know that we have to bring these younger guys along. We have to encourage each other. We're all going to make mistakes. We're going to be in dogfights and chess matches. And for them to have that attitude, even like if you take Bridger and Tress, they could easily get the big head. I mean, those are 2 workhorses, right? All of them are workhorses, but these 2 guys are a little bit bigger, a little bit faster. And they are just 2 humble kids who want the best for their team. They want to help us all to find a way to win. The younger guys know too, we can't ride these 2 horses. We've got to all pitch in. We've got to all do our part. We've got to fight, scrap, and claw. And so the entire team understands it ain't about 2. And the 2 understand it ain't about us. It's about the whole team. And so when we put all that together, it just makes everybody better.
Right.
Coach, you've already had 2 games this season. Just talk about the improvement that you saw from week 1 to week 2, or even from the scrimmages from then to now from your team and the maturity level that y'all have had.
Well, whenever you're young like we are, that growth from one week to the next is exponential. So scrimmage, I'll take offense, for example. We lined up and went up against Waco Live Oak. We went up against Round Rock Christian and Austin Hill Country.
Right.
The team we're going to play this Friday night. And honestly, our offense just did not look the part. And we challenged them. We identified some things we needed to get better at. We came up against San Marcos Academy. Offense took 2 big steps. I mean, we began to function better. We executed better. We were firing off. We're being more physical. And again, we just felt like we got to take 2 more steps. So we go up against Castle. Castle's a bigger team. They're built more for tight versus spread. And they took 2 more steps. This week, we're going against a spread team that's faster than Cheetahs. And turf up at Rouse Stadium up in Leander. And now it's going to be a different animal. We were going up against Grizzly Bears last week. This week, we're going up against Cheetahs. So there's going to be another learning curve there. And I like the way our schedule shapes up. We've got 5 great non-district games. And before we get a week off, it'll probably be much needed by that point, and then barrel our way into district. And so real pleased with the growth we're seeing and how much we're getting better. We always talk about being good now and great in October.
Coach, just a little bit of history for people that don't know. You've been there, 21 seasons.
Yes, that's a long.
You have 7 state championships. Your overall record's 184-59 in that time spread. And your playoff record during that time is 42 wins and 12 losses, along with those 7 state championships. What makes this team being ranked number 1 this year in the TAPS division different? What? Let me just say this. What is different about this year's team than last year's team?
Well, there's not a tremendous amount in terms of the way we do things. You got, I'd say half of these kids were on last year's team. They're a year bigger, stronger, faster. I will tell you, last year, I was able to bring in a speed and strength coach, Rusty Odom, good friend of mine. And if you saw him, he's bigger than the screen will show. And so I figure it's a genius move by me, right? You want to make your speed and strength coach somebody who looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Tony Atlas, bodybuilder, right? And I would say one of the biggest differences is that this team has been in a speed and strength program for the last 250 days, however long it's been since the end of the season last year. Still playing basketball, still running track, still doing tennis, golf, all the things that we offer, but really intentionally working their tails off in the weight room. And I think it's starting to show. And we've had teams in the past and situations here and there where we've had a pretty good speed and strength thing going on and had guys who hit the weight room. So it's not that we've never had guys hitting the weight room. I go back over team after team, and we've had some guys who have hit the weight room just as hard as this group. But sometimes you can kind of lose that culture a little bit, or maybe these guys didn't get that culture somewhere along the way for whatever reason. And I will tell you, they have bought in. And I think what you're seeing is just a lot stronger guys at the age that they're at. That's probably one big, actually a physical difference. Chemistry wise, mentally, I mean, I hate to say this and I'm glad to say it, but we don't get real fancy. And what we do in mind, body, and soul, I've been doing for the past 21 years, and being constant and consistent and steady and doing what we do. If there were some guys from the early 2000s that came and talked to these guys today on this team, they could speak the same language. And there's a lot of the philosophy and a lot of the encouragement and the things we say and we utilize to use in between the white lines and outside the white lines that we used 15 years ago. But at the same time, I'm constantly, and my coaching staff's constantly trying to get smarter. The game's evolving. It's changing. You can never get stagnant. And so we are throwing a few wrinkles. In fact, against Castle Hills, I'll just throw this out there. We ran a defense we've never run before in my 21 years. And it worked really well. And I was kind of excited about that because I can be pretty boring.
Come on.
It don't get boring, but, some people would look, man, come on, coach.
I've never known you boring.
Yeah. Nothing about it's boring. I can tell you that much. Winning games is not boring ever. But the way you do it can be very methodical, and we're pretty methodical. But this team has bought into that culture of speed and strength, and they put in the time. And I think that's why we're able to go up against these teams of 24 and 19. And this week will be no different. I think Austin Hill Country has 21 guys. And, it doesn't phase us. It does not change our mindset or our approach. We know who we are and what we're trying to do and how we want to do it. And, I've had coaches say, yeah, but Coach Shipman, your 9 is not like everybody else's 9. And I take that as a huge compliment, and so we embrace that with who we are and what we're trying to do. And all you need is 6, but I'll take 9.
All right, Coach, I want to know something.
There we go.
Okay, for people who don't know, 6-man, if you're up by 45 at the end of the first half, the game's over. If you're up by whatever the case may be, it's different from 11-man. As a coach's prospect, pre-district, do you want to 45 your opponent, or do you want to have the full length, like fourth quarter, to work on stuff before district?
So it all depends. Every getting the grain in the silo every year is a little bit different. So if you've got 9 guys like we do, I would be just fine 45 and getting 2 quarters of work in, and as many reps as they're getting, that's going to be fine. If I've got 15, 16 guys and I'm able to sub in and bring in my second string or, my backups or whatever, I need to get a second or third quarterback some work, move some guys around, then we're absolutely going to do that. And I've done that 100 times in the past. And so this year I'd be fully happy with 45 and folks because we can't afford injuries. Nobody can ever afford injuries. Never want kids, period. Whether you have 100 kids or you got 9. But when you got 9, it sure does. It's a higher percent of your team that just got injured. And and you do look at those total number of plays. We're probably running about 142 plays total, special teams, defense, offense, a game. And that's a lot of wear and tear. Let's just face it. It's a lot of wear and tear on anybody, even if they're in good shape. And so you'd like to reduce those numbers down when you got a team like we've got. At the same time, you always want to. I've got such great relationships with so many guys and coaches and ADs and people over the years. 21 years being in this, man, I've seen some coaches' kids grow up, and I could talk all day long about the relationships and the iron sharpening iron and that kind of stuff. So you never want to disrespect anybody. And if I have the opportunity and we're up handily, and I've got backups and subs, I'm going to put those guys in there. And for 2 reasons. One, you better develop players for next year, or you're going to be in a heap of trouble. And secondly, it's important that I just think that you show other teams they've worked hard. You show them respect. Now, there is a time whenever you get your foot on their throat that you need to keep it there and keep going in certain situations, with all due respect. But at the same time, I think something we built our program on is we're going to hit you really hard, and we're going to help you up and say, God bless you, and we'll be back in a little bit, and we love you, and we care about you, and we're going to build those relationships because, we're marching with the same army. But it ain't going to stop us from being physical but at the same time, we want to show respect. So that's kind of how I work through whether or not we're going to press it in 45. Now, I will have conversations with coaches if it's real lopsided, building those relationships. And if they're saying, hey, coach, we're great. If you get on us and you can put a fork in us, go ahead and do it. Where I'm at right now, put a fork in us. Then you have that conversation and you say, well, I respect you. We get there. All right. That's good. That's what you need out of this. Now that's not many of them. A lot of them are like, they're fighting and clawing to not get 40. But you might have the flip. I've had the flip where I've had 16 guys and somebody else has had 9. And they don't want you to drag it out, and they don't need to drag it out. And you're pounding on them, and they need to, lick their wounds, learn what they learn, and move on to next week.
Coach, got to do this. If I don't do this, I'm going to get in trouble, so I got to do it real quick here. But tonight's show is brought to you by Kerrtex Motors in Kerrville, Texas at 212 G Street West, right there in downtown Kerrville. And let me tell you about Andy Sanchez and those guys. Dan, I tell you what, those guys know what they're doing. And Andy, man, he gets cars like there's no tomorrow that are on premium, specials at great prices, better prices, I should say. Not only that, right now, they are also renting out cars. So if you need a car that you need to drive around because, let's just face it, some of those big boxes are pretty expensive to go rent a car. Well, Kerrtex Motors can rent you a car as well. Kerrtex Motors, proud sponsor of the Hill Country Nation Sports Wrap-Up Show. Great cars, better prices. Visit them online at KerrtexMotors.com. All right, Coach. It's kind of one of those things. We want to get to know you just a little bit better. Like last year, we talked. I owed you a coffee, but now I owe you 2 coffees. It's just how it is, and we're gonna go get that. You still drinking that coffee day in, day out?
Oh yeah, definitely. That's I love it. I'm a coffee drinker, just plain and simple. No sugar, no syrup, none of this fancy stuff. I go to Starbucks and they laugh at me because I just order the basic. I need a Pikes. That's it, man. And they're like, "That's all," and I'm like, "Yes, that's all."
But have you done a
And
basic, just ice cold coffee basic? Like,
yeah, no, I no, and I don't care if it's 110 degrees. I can't drink iced coffee. That's just like an oxymoron. So you got to have just plain black hot coffee. That's it. That's I mean, I grew up in the Panhandle, and that's just they don't even have sugar out there.
no. None of that aspartame.
Trey, you tell me about your coffee, man.
I don't drink coffee, but you said you're from the Panhandle. I'm sure. What part of the Panhandle were you from?
I grew up in Muleshoe.
Muleshoe.
Home of the mules, the Mule Mania, right?
Yeah,
And by the way, I think it was week 2. I think they beat the Littlefield Wildcats 44-10. And I'm going to tell you what, that's big news up there in Bailey County.
Yeah.
I mean, big news. My mom was calling me, texting me at like midnight going, "Hey, the Mules beat Littlefield." And so big time going on with 3A Muleshoe Mules right now.
Nice.
You might want to, check them out.
Yeah. You're right.
Graduated, and so I'm a young whippersnapper.
You're right. I'm from the Panhandle, from the White Deer area, right outside of Amarillo. And Muleshoe, I know all about those rivalries. And you're right. That's a big rivalry right there.
That's a big one, 30 miles down the road. I mean, my oldest brother graduated from WT, went and coached at Littlefield. And for a long time, I hated him. I didn't like him at all. I didn't even claim him or nothing. It was, and so I still hold it against. After 30 years, I've started to get over it a little bit.
Hey, man,
he's retired now,
Nice.
Hey, man, those Texas rivalries, they mean a lot here in Texas. That ain't just like fun and games. It's real hatred.
Yeah.
Like, I understand.
I got a lot of stories about that I probably can't share on here, but maybe another time.
we'll
I mean,
another
not a whole lot to do up in the Panhandle besides play football, lift weights,
right?
Play sports, whatever it is. I mean, that's just what you do. And you're 30 miles from every town is 30 miles from each.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, these things go on for generations, as you well know. It's Texas.
Yes.
No different up there for sure.
Well, I definitely say this: Muleshoe smells a whole lot better than Hereford, Texas. I'll tell you that. Like, you cannot miss Hereford, Texas at all.
So I went to West Texas State my first 2 years, and from Muleshoe to WT you drove through Hereford, and it's just what it is. Yes. It is. It's a best smell in America, but lots of money.
Just money.
Lots of money.
Money.
Yeah. You can identify your way around the Panhandle by smells. It might be oil, it might be cow manure. You never know.
You're totally right. Oh, is it still my turn? I don't know. All right, Coach. I just want to brag a little. I mean, it's not your football program, but your basketball program. I know girls basketball and stuff like that. I know you're athletic director and everything like that. I went to school with this guy, Kevin Perez. How has he helped your girls basketball program the way they are right now, and like everything else that they've done?
For sure. Well, and I will say let me talk about Kevin Perez a little bit, but I'll preface it with he has gone to greener pastures, and he actually has moved on to, I think he is up at Leander Glen.
You're right.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Here's the bottom line. If you're doing a great job as a leader, you're building your assistant coaches and you're mentoring them so that they can go on and reach their dreams and goals. And one of his dreams and goals has always been to coach at the next level, way all the way up. And there's no awkwardness, no weirdness here or anything negative. It's actually a positive because he got to a place where he had an opportunity, and he and I talked our way all the way through it. And man, he is just taking that next step. And that's one of the things that I pride myself on as athletic director and leader is I feel like we are mentoring and growing coaches so that they can reach their dreams and goals to go coach at the next level. If you look at the great leaders on whatever level, that's what they're doing, right? But I will tell you what he's done over the years. I think he was with us for 8 years. He raised the level of our basketball program, our girls basketball program particularly. And we talk often. We're still in touch. We were blessed. I will tell you, we hired Coach Mackenzie Demery. So y'all might recognize that name. She's our assistant athletic director. Shout out to her. And of course, her dad, who is a head coach for Tybee boys, I believe. I got that right.
Yep.
And just a tremendous asset for us in addition. And so she's got a great building block that Coach Perez actually, built a foundation for her to take and continue to take us to that next level. And she's going to be more than capable of doing that. She's also assisting us in our volleyball program. Shout out to Coach Haggerty, who's been with us for 3 years. I think he has built our girls volleyball program. Last year went to they were state runner-up, went to the Final Four tournament up in Waco. In fact, tonight they're playing their first district game out at San Angelo Cornerstone, big-time district rival. And right before we went there, I saw we were up 2-1, game 4. My wife sent me a text, said we were up 22-13. So I hadn't looked at it, hadn't seen it since, but looks like we're taking care of business. Dental road trip, 2.5 hours, 3 hours out there. That's a haul. But so really, in all reality, every one of our sports programs, we've just hired 2 new cross country coaches. They're trying to build that program to a state championship level. Last year, we ended up increasing our number of participants in golf. Love golf. It's not the beat 'em up sport, but a lot of mental game there. We're all across the board: tennis, golf, basketball, volleyball, track, football. We're building state championship caliber programs or sports across. Everybody's synced up. Great coaching staff. We've had a lot of great coaches there for a while, and they have built great foundations. And I'm going to tell you what, it's pretty exciting around here because across the board, our standard is to go compete for state titles in every sport.
Yeah. Speaking of, you got the Eric Herzog building. I used to run cross country against Eric Herzog. But one thing that Eric Herzog hadn't done that I've done, and we called ourselves the 100-mile club, which that's why we were ranked in state. But I loved always competing against Eric.
Well, now, hey, I will tell you, the whole Herzog family is just phenomenal.
Fabulous.
Folks, right?
Aren't they great people?
I got to throw in a little correction. So it's David Herzog that the building's named after.
Okay.
Eric Herzog, his older brother, I believe.
Yeah.
Both of them. I mean, the whole family is just great people.
Awesome.
Great folks. Cross country, Ironman, you name it. During David Herzog's time when he was alive and he was mentoring these kids and he was just involved back in the early 2000s. The kids loved him. They followed him. He took them to an Ironman before we even had cross country or track or anything like that.
Yeah.
He is definitely just in my mind, he is a legend.
Yeah.
He is somebody that you want your kids to grow up to be like. The whole family, Glenn, Kathy, Eric, all of them. They're just phenomenal folks. I didn't realize that so where y'all competed against each other?
Yeah, so he was at Fredericksburg High School. I was at Kerrville Tybee, and I was just up and coming. I mean, I was in my freshman year or so when I competed the first time against Eric Herzog. Our always golden rule is never lose to Fredericksburg, but I lost to him in the first couple of, before I finally got my opportunity and got him. But it was one of them things that I always admired the way that he trained. And so yeah, we still have our 100. We were called the 100-mile club because we were trained 100 miles in a week for a month. And so I still have those. So if your cross country coach ever needs something like that, I got some because we did that. But what I was going to go with that and everything is that because of like a name like Herzog and those things, talk about your coaches. You've already done a lot with some of your other ones and stuff like that. But what does it mean with your football coaches, along with your your other coaches and stuff, to help you be an AD, but at the same time building that program not only just for football, but also they're helping out with the band, they're helping out with one act play, they're doing all these FFA, they're doing all these different things, but your coaches are a big, huge part of that.
Well, I think all the coaches are your front line, period. Obviously, football is big in Texas, and I happen to come up through the ranks of football, right? And so I learned a lot there. Helped build a football program where I felt like the culture and the philosophy was where it needed to be. And over the years, and since I've been AD, this is my third year as AD, taking the strengths of the coaches, the coaching staff that we have, and trying to learn from them and be better. But at the same time, take the things that have worked well for us through the football program and intertwine it into our other programs. Overall, at the end of the day, in my mind, you're only as good as your coaching staff. And we got as good of a coaching staff as anybody in the state. These coaches are pouring blood, sweat, and tears into these kids in mind, body, and soul. They're bought in to building champions for life. That's our overarching motto. And we want to build champions. I talk about state championships physically, right? But I'm going to tell you the trophies and the rings, that's just icing. The character and the life lessons and the relationships and the memories and the things that we learn through sports that help us in the journey through high school. And then when we graduate, it helps us in the journey through life. That is the cake. And I can tell you, every one of our coaches have bought into that, and they're doing that across the board, whether it's a junior high coach or a varsity coach or a JV coach, cross country, basketball, volleyball, track, it does not matter. And I'm luckiest guy in the world, really, to have the coaching staff that I've got. Every one of them are trying, they've got their priorities straight. They're trying to build champions for life and build championship programs along the way.
That's awesome.
I don't know if he's still talking or not.
I think it froze up a little bit there.
You with us, Coach?
Still with us?
That's what I'm looking for. But just shout out to every one of our coaches, because they're bought in. They're building character. They're using every lesson, every opportunity they can, every bit of adversity that we come up against in sports. They're all about team. It's not about an individual. And we have some great individuals, and they're collecting all kinds of accolades, all state awards, all district awards. We're winning state titles on a consistent basis. But at the same time, they bring us back to center. And they say, hey, yeah, but what's the cake? The cake is that character building and putting tools in your tool belt that you're going to use when you go outside that gate and you face this crazy world. And we love trophies and rings. We love icing. Don't get me wrong. But we're going to eat cake and get as much icing as we can as an added.
Coach, you kind of talked about this a little bit previously or just now, actually, but I kind of want to talk about like when the kids go to college and the recruiting area and stuff like that. I mean, you don't see much 6-man going to like big schools. I mean, you see a Van Landerich for the Dallas Cowboys right now who played in 6-man. Now he's contributed to the Dallas Cowboys. Just if you could talk to any of the coaches in D1 who's recruiting, because they mostly go after 5A, 5A, 6A, a little bit of 4A. Just talk about how 6-man can benefit a team in the college level.
Absolutely. If you're a D1, D2, D3 coach looking for a diamond in the rough, I'd go into the 6-man world all day. There is the group of people and group of coaches out there who say, well, if you want to play at the next level, you got to go play 11 man. I'm not going to, that's out there. And so it doesn't bother me a bit, because I know we're still teaching fundamental football. These kids actually, for example, I had Robert Ramsey go play up at Wheaton, D3, 200 kid plus program. And he goes in there and they recruit him as I think it was a D lineman, and they figured out that he was fast enough and Iron Man enough that he could be a situational third down defensive end pass rusher. Ended up after 4 years becoming a captain out of 150 players.
Nice.
And I think, so I've had another kid go play linebacker over at Hardin Simmons. A lot of people will try to make that argument that, you've got to do that. But I will tell you that you learn work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be good in the classroom. You got to work hard in the weight room. You got to keep your nose clean. You got to lead by example, and have good stamina, some good speed. We may not throw out there a 300-pound, 6'6" lineman type guy, right? But I'm going to tell you, in the six-man world, and this is private and public across the state of Texas, there's kids out there that they know how to work hard. They may lack a little bit in knowing a technique for say a defensive end, right? And there's some argument there. What they lack in that, they make up for in versatility, team, leadership, taking care of their business and stuff. And that doesn't mean that there's a bunch of other kids out there at 5A, 6A, 4A, 3A, 2A, 11-man programs who do all those things as well. They take care of their business. They work hard. They're in the weight room. They take care of their business. So don't hear me saying anything against them. We're blessed to be in Texas, man. We got thousands of great athletes. And so I would just say that a college coach that's looking for a diamond in the rough that's probably coming from a very small knit community that can bring a lot to your program. I would dig deep into the six-man world, and I bet you're going to find a few diamonds in the rough there.
Amen.
Coach, we got about time for 3 more questions. I don't want to take Trey's, but I don't know if he's going to ask it or not. So should I?
Go ahead.
Yeah, a hard one right there. Man. I had to kind of work through that one. Man, that was a good question.
No, but it was a great question, because that's something that we've talked about before, where six-man doesn't really get a lot of love when it comes to some of these colleges. And I'm with you. I'll take them all day, because that's Ironman football both ways. So when it comes to strength, conditioning, and the knowledge of a game, that I'm so with you on that, because they know, and it won't take them long to learn that technique, not at all. But Coach, here we are. We're 2 weeks in and everything. But one of Trey's questions, I always love when he asks this and everything. But as a head coach, and of course the athletic director, but what is one of your pet peeves? I mean, what is something that gets under your skin as a head coach?
Wow. Okay. So let's see here. That's a hard one, because there's so many for me to choose from. I'm kidding. So, probably the biggest thing for me is just simply a kid can make a lot of mistakes. They can make a lot of mistakes. I can deal with that. I love teaching. I love coaching, but they got to give me 100% effort every play. We talk about this all the time, and with our freshmen particularly. Hey, if you're gonna make a mistake, make it at 100 miles an hour. And I don't know, maybe I demand that. It's built within our culture. It's built in with what we do. And so, if you watch film on us the last 2 weeks, we made a lot of mistakes. But I can promise you, we made them at 100 miles an hour, and that has a big effect. That's probably, coaching wise, that's probably one of my biggest things that I really harp on. That kind of gets me a little bit. The other thing probably is just bad sportsmanship.
Yeah.
If you want to get Coach Shipman fired up, whether it is us or it's the other team, is bad sportsmanship. And then on top of that, well, no, I'll just stop there. Bad sportsmanship gets me really fired up. I mean, it doesn't matter if we got 5 guys left. And our guys are solid. I don't have that problem. But if I did, and I have a few times in the past, if we got 6 guys, it doesn't matter. If you have bad sportsmanship in some form or fashion, you're going to sit over here with me for a while, even if we got to play with 5. And, but generally, I will tell you, I think within our league, within the, our reputation across the state, relationships, and we played all over, I think Freddie Heritage football has a great reputation for just beating the snot out of you. And then you just say, gosh, I feel like my best friend just beat the snot out of me. And that's the worst thing. I've had coaches say, worst thing about coming and playing you is, you beat the snot out of us. And then we kind of have to walk away and say, well, gosh, they're just like our best friend, man. They're so nice, kind. They play at a high standard, but they have good sportsmanship. And, but that's probably a second one that gets me the most. And we don't really have that problem. That's just a standard that we live by.
Yeah. Nice.
Okay. I live in Kerrville. I'm looking at the schedule. I don't see OLH anywhere in this.
Oh, I know.
Is there any future OLH heritage games that we can get this little rivalry going maybe a little bit in the next couple of years?
This year is realignment year. I would love for us to get to play each other. And I know Brock over there. He's a super, super guy. He's doing everything he can to build that program and grow it. And so shout out to him. Continue the work, my brother. Keep up the work, man. Keep grinding it out. But at the same time, they're 20 miles down the road. We've played in the past. Maybe this new realignment, we might not be in the same division, same district, but I'm gonna give it everything I got, maybe to get us a game with them and get that thing going. Because I will tell you, I'd much rather drive 20 miles than
right.
In 2 weeks, we go up and play Oglesby. Oglesby is near Gatesville.
Yeah,
it's a district game. We're at their house, and I don't know if y'all looked lately, but number 8 in the state UIL Division II, they just happen to be loaded. I picked that game up in December. I'm excited about it. I was excited about it then. I'm more excited about it now to get to play somebody at their house on that level. But either way, what my point was, we got to drive 2.5 hours to go play them. I like 20 miles. That's a lot. I like that a lot better, So I'm going to see if I can't reach out to Brock, and I'm sure that he'll reciprocate, and he does a great job over there and is trying to get things squared away for OLH. And, best of luck to them this season, this week.
But real quick, JR, before you say it, I want to put words in JR's mouth. If you get that game next year, that will be a Hill Country Nation game of the week. I'm just throwing it out there.
Done.
Just putting it out there.
That's good. All right. Deal. You're going to owe me 2 coffees and a Hill Country Nation game of the week.
And trade for a heritage logo on the helmet, and we need a heritage flag.
Oh, yeah. Down. All right. You got it, my friend.
There we go. Nice.
Yeah.
Coach, 21 years you've been doing this, and, time flies when you're having fun. Out of all of them years up to this point, what makes Coach Tim Shipman Coach Tim Shipman?
I think it's like I was talking earlier, honestly, it's the constancy, the steadiness, the consistency. We know who we are. I know what I want to accomplish. I know why I'm doing what I'm doing. And we're going to methodically continue to go for possibly another 21 years. And to me, whenever I reflect and I look back and I think about what makes me who I am, that's probably where I keep landing. And that was not proven any greater than this summer, had the privilege to go to Sawyer Richburg's wedding, former player, 2011 state championship team. And that whole crew was there. And we visited that night for an hour and a half after, during the reception and whatnot. And we talked about some of the exact same things. And their wives were there talking about, they talk about this all the time. They talk about, building champions. They talk about, don't be the bass, all this stuff that we're trying to teach them, that I'm teaching to this crew. And so I really feel like for me, the thing that makes me who I am is just that constant, consistent, believing in what you're trying to get done and doing it for a good long time.
All right, man, Coach. Thank you so much for being on our show here tonight. We appreciate you so much. And yeah.
We barely got it in. Barely.
Did he just leave?
I think he started freezing up at the very end, but we got it in just in the nick of time.
You sure it didn't just click go?
He's like, screw this. It's been an hour. I'm ready to go to bed. 3 hours.
Enough of these guys. I'm getting my coffee, and that's what he's talking about. Right?
Yeah, whatever. It was a great interview. I always love talking to Shipman, man. He always makes me want to go play for him again, even though I'm 37.
I'm ready to go play for him now. Just he always fires me up, and I'm like, can you take a 50-year-old man? I'll do it.
Oh Lord, I would love to see that with you.
Dude.
I see you walking up and down the stairs in the press box. I don't think that's going to last, but whatever. Go ahead.
We got some things coming up on Hill Country Nation for sure, because we got Emma Wardlaw and Kaylee Blackley. They're going to pitch against me over the holidays. I can't wait for that, baby. Oh. We got a lot of great things happening here on the Hill Country Nation 2.0. Basically, here we are. But man, what a great job there by Coach Tim Shipman. We sure appreciate him. The Heritage Eagles ranked number 1 in class in Scott's Division 3A. And that's going to be a good one when they go up against the UIL division older to be for sure. So man, we're gonna have to get that one there. All right, Trey.
Man, I'm just glad I'm feeling better. Last Friday was kind of rough. All weekend I was in couch. But man, I'm ready, 100%. I can't wait for Friday night.
Friday night, baby. The El Paso Horizon Scorpions at the Fort Stockton Panthers. Hill Country Nation game of the week. That's where it's going to be at. Unless something changes between now and then, that's where we're at. Say bye. Say bye, Carson.
Say bye.
Say bye, Carson. There you go. All right, that's going to do it here for our Hill Country Nation Sports Wrap-Up Show. Tomorrow night, we'll figure out what's going to happen. We're not sure exactly. We're going to try to get Coach Hickman, that's for sure, from Fort Stockton. All right, everybody, enjoy your night. And as always, for Trey Calls, I'm J.R. Alexander saying so long. See you later. And I am out of here.